continuing in my looking back at Zack. The films of Zack Snyder. I won't be reviewing all of them now. I'd forgotten all about, and apparently so did everyone else. It didn't do well, but that was the animated film with the, what was it, the owls or whatever it was. I'm just not interested, sorry. But, I mean, look, if you recommend it in the comment, you think it was a great film, then, maybe I'll check it out. But I'm sticking with most of the Zack, which all the others. So after the success of the remake of Dawn of the Dead, which still holds up and is a great film, he moved on to the next project, which was based on the Frank Miller graphic novel 300, and this is based on an actual event, but obviously probably not historically accurate either in the graphic novel or the film, but it's just fun, This would be the battle for the Greeks were at war with the Persian Empire, who were going to invade and take them over, and King Leonidas of Sparta led 300 of his men to hold them off at a pass, and they couldn't get through. Eventually, of course, they die, but the inspiration of the battle and holding the Persians back and proving that they're not, invincible gods or what have you, gave hope and spirits to the rest of the Greeks, and the Athenian navy ultimately defeats the Persian navy, and the Greeks maintain their land. Later on, it, of course, is an inspiration to Alexander the Great, who was not Greek, he was Macedonian, but nevertheless he was the king, and he invades Persia and destroys the Persian Empire, and then keeps going, damn near conquering the known world at the time. Until he died of swamp fever. Was it? Or did they poison him, getting tired of all this? I don't know. But anyway, that's another story. 300 was this story that Frank Miller said he had thought about since he was a teenager, I believe. And he put it together, and it's pretty damn good. And this was the inspiration for the film. Now, the film is a visual feast, if ever that title would apply. It certainly applied to this one. It was a utilization of green screen shooting, and yet it worked. There's, of course, the other Frank Miller comic book series, being the Sin City, which they did. The first one was really good. The second one, it was okay. The Spirit, don't watch that. But that utilization of it and making that bizarre sort of hyper-realistic realm, especially the way comic books are. And I kind of wondered why none of the superhero films kind of adopted this. I guess they were a little afraid and thought it was too artsy or something. I don't know. Maybe that George Miller Justice League was supposed to be like that. I can't remember. But it just never happened. And the Spirit doesn't count. So this was it's just a glorious of Hull. It is like, and the strange direction and the look of it, is nothing like Dawn of the Dead. And this whole, it just captures this in every scene, like this visual feast. Yeah, it's like a painting in each scene of depictions of this legend, and it's told like a legend, a myth. It completely embraces the idea that this is a myth. I mean, there's some things that's just really over the top. There's some of the minions of Xerxes there that they look like aliens. I mean, I know there's deformities, and then there's the poor guy who wants to be a part of Leonidas' team, but he's too deformed, and so then he betrays him and all that. And it's a little over the top. I suppose it's possible. I mean, people with, what poor Elephant Man had and stuff like that. But I don't know. But that executioner guy who chops off one of the Xerxes general's head, come on, that looks like an alien. So yeah, over the top, but it's embracing the idea that it's a myth. The event happened, it's real, but this is the mythological approach of it, and it became an inspirational myth for other, soldiers, certainly the Greeks and other armies later on, and this sort of make the last stand, and you're going to die, but it's for something, it's going to mean something, and it'll achieve the ultimate victory, later on, like the Alamo and stuff like that. So that's basically what the story is, but it's well performed, it's well acted, and boy, Lena Headey, huh? before she became Cersei. She was here and does a good performance as well, and of course very beautiful. But all this, again, the scenery and of it is just rich with stimulation and what have you, for the excitement of it and how you see it, and just of course the simple story of he's making this doomsday or suicide mission to defend his land, his home. He doesn't want to be a slave to this empire, and Xerxes keeps trying to buy him off, and that's more the indication that the Persian Empire was getting old and getting lazy, and they weren't really that much. They had the numbers, so they ultimately overwhelm the 300. But in all-out war with an army that's ready to go and hungry for victory and hungry to survive, it's a bit of a problem. And you see this throughout history with empires, that they get old, they get fat, they get complacent, and it falls apart. And because basically Xerxes is just trying to buy him off. Even after he's slaughtered quite a few of his soldiers, he still makes the offers. He's like, all you got to do is kneel before me, and I'll make you one of my governors of this area and that sort of thing. But Leonidas knows that's not. They're still going to be slaves, and he's just not going to live like that. And you're still living at the whim of the Persian Empire, and you cannot trust that. Everything will be pretty much like it was. It's just you now have to live under the flag of the Persians or what have you, and pay a tribute, that sort of thing. But yeah, he wasn't going to go for that deal. So another successful outing for Zack Snyder's burgeoning film career at this point. Before that, I'd looked it up to see what he had done before, and it was mostly these music videos and stuff like that, whereas Dawn of the Dead was his first big feature. And then he follows it up with this, and damn, what what a great showcase. It is interesting to note that he had a lot of respect for what Frank Miller had done. He actually recreates some of the actual scenes there, especially when they're forcing the Persian army off the cliff and that sort of thing. It's like the comic book really was, a storyboard for the film. And he, at the time, the talks that were coming that what his next project would be, of course, pursuing comic book projects, his next movie will be The Watchmen. And boy, I'm going to watch the ultimate cut of that. It's going to take a while because it's very, very long. and so I'll have to see when I have the time to delve into that. Maybe I'll have to watch it for a while and take a break and come back. No, it's been a while since I sat through it, but we'll get to it. But the interesting thing about that was that one of the interviews was that after he had completed that project, he talked to Frank Miller about he really wants to do a film on The Dark Knight Returns. And looking at Batman versus Superman, which I'll eventually get to in this, looking at Zack's movies, probably should have just done that. I've often thought that might have been a way, since they wanted to hurry out and throw Batman in there, this could have been a bookend type deal where The Dark Knight Returns is set in a future time, and in the other movies are what happens in between the events that led to that. It might have been a way to approach it, and that this was just basically an adaptation of that story, which would have been what it ultimately was, a Batman movie. Henry Cavill was in an interview recently and said that, yeah, it's basically what it is. Which I'm sure he was a bit irked by that, but what have you. But anyway, that would have been, and seeing how this was performed, and I'm kind of sad that this sort of, because a lot of the green screen movies, they're terrible. A lot of them, they just didn't know how to do it. Appears to me that Zack Snyder and Rodriguez, they know how to do it and to give it that look, and that maybe that would have been the way to go. But I guess it's a creature of its time, and that time has passed, and that's just too bad. But anyway, the 300 doing well here, second movie, and can't argue with it. I think it's a great film, and do check it out if you haven't. Zack Snyder's 300. All right, thank you for watching and listening. Say while you're here, you might as well like and subscribe, and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my many stores that have plenty of goodies for you.